Broken future, shattered dreams, end of times ain't what it seems.
Hello friends, this is Sam Chaney reporting for Weaponized News. Today, February 19th, 2026. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday edition of Weaponized News. We have quite a bit to get to today. Royal family member arrested, formerly known as Prince Andrew. Is that the first domino to fall? Trump says he's been exonerated. I don't know how he's been exonerated, but through redactions, I guess. Trump thinks he probably won't ever face any justice for the Epstein, his involvement in all of that. But we did see a royal arrested today, released quickly. Got that coverage. We've got public health news. It happened yesterday. Trump signed an executive order essentially making glyphosate, putting glyphosate under national security. We'll cover all that, the executive order, what all that means. Not looking good. Not looking good for Maha. We will. Hello, Ruckus. Thank you for joining us. See Ruckus there in the chat. The White House has updated their website. We'll take a look at your corporate government. They're not shy about it. Again, this is a corporate government for corporations, not for people. It's for America, not for Americans, as we talked about. I did like that distinction that Jeff made yesterday on the broadcast, because that's exactly what it is. We have a fascist corporate government here that represents BlackRock. I don't know, the shareholders of these corporations. This government doesn't represent the American people and doesn't defend our natural rights. Anyway, we'll take a look at all our corporate sponsors here. And just so much Epstein news that it makes you want to throw up, grab a barf bag. We had to double up today because we couldn't cover any yesterday because we did that interview with Jeff Dornick to help him with his launch of Pickaxe coming up this coming Tuesday. So anyway, we got a lot of news to cover today. How many tabs? I got like 50 tabs open of Epstein news. We'll cover all the sort of details. It just goes on and on and on. And remember, this is only 2% of the documents have been released to us. So imagine what they haven't released. What they have released is just open evil in our face. We've got a lot of geopolitical news as well as we're waiting. All signs point toward we're attacking Iran. Trump rolled out his fake peace board. They militarized the police board. They're going, or the peace board, the police board, the peace board. They're going to build a giant U.S. military base in Gaza and say, peace, bro, while putting a gun right in your face. Peace, you understand? That's where we're at. I mean, everything, Orwell's laughing from the grave, right? The peace board by Trump is Orwellian. We'll cover that. They had their inaugural meeting today of war criminals calling themselves the peace board. Can't make it up. Can't make it up. They have no shame. And we had everybody's favorite elected representative, Jared Kushner, there as well. We'll go over Jared Kushner's presentation. And yeah, there is no board of peace. They're stacking bodies in Gaza today. They're bombing the hell out of southern Lebanon today. We'll cover that. How's there peace when they're still killing people? We didn't even get to report it yesterday. They killed a Palestinian yesterday for crossing the freaking yellow line, they say. And imagine, they put up like little posts, right? Maybe in some areas. No, they're whacking them because they're Palestinian and they don't give a damn about some made up yellow line because the genocide continues there. And again. They're using it as a laboratory. All that's coming home. All that's coming home. All that and much more on this Thursday edition of Weaponized News. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Let's get to what does Rick say? He says, I keep hearing Trump say the file showed that Michael Wolff, author journalist, told Epstein to lie about Trump and to say he went to the island, etc. But that's old news from last year. Yeah. Trump's neck deep in it. People are like, is Trump compromised? Trump's a freaking actor playing his part in the Masonic stage play called American Politics. That's the reality of the situation here now. Is he compromised? Come on, people. Come on, people. I know our audience. I'm just saying, like, I keep seeing it. Like MAGAs or maybe right-wingers or Republicans, they're like, is Trump compromised? The whole thing is a Masonic stage play. Okay, let's get to this day in history. On this day in history of February 19th, we go way back to the year 356. In the year 356, we see an anti-pagan policy put into place by Roman Emperor Constance II, ordering the closure of all pagan temples under the domain of the Roman Empire in 356. Flash way forward here to the year 1539. On this day, the aardvarks are expelled from Hungary. Antiseptic behavior there in Hungary in 1539 for noticing. In 1803, U.S. Congress accepts Ohio's bid for statehood, but neglects to ratify the Constitution. An honest oversight, not corrected until 1953. So what, 150 years, the state of Ohio was operating unconstitutionally as a state without it being properly ratified. I believe if we go back and look at a lot of these constitutional amendments and ratifications, you will find that a lot of stuff is not properly ratified and they rammed it through and it's all sham fraud. Yeah. That's America, our Masonic play called politics here. In 1807, on this day, we saw Aaron Burr arrested, then vice president. They arrested vice presidents in 1807 for treason. He was later acquitted, but hey, let's bring back political pistol duels. Let's bring back arresting politicians for treason. Probably all of Congress at this point would be guilty. Let's bring all that back. 1831, on this day, we saw the first practical U.S. coal-burning locomotive make its first trial run in Pennsylvania. That's a major part of the Industrial Revolution there. Coal-burning locomotives. In 1846, on this day, Texas state government formally installed in Austin, Texas. In 1878, on this day, we saw Thomas Edison be granted a patent for his cylinder phonograph machine. In 1878, on this day, it is called the, quote, Enigma outbreak of over 60 tornadoes in Mississippi, Alabama, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Indiana kill hundreds of people, if not thousands. The exact death count is not known, hence the enigma. Nobody even knows how many people died, but I blame climate change, CO2 emissions for this enigma outbreak in 1884. In 1910 on this day, we saw Typhoid Mary. She's freed from her first period of forced isolation and goes on to cause several future outbreaks of typhoid in the New York area, is how the story goes. So you go ahead and quarantine yourself, you see. U.S. elections. Well, in 1913 on this day, we saw the first inserted toy into a Cracker Jack box. So we celebrate that on this date, 1913. Also in 1913 on this day, 10 tragic days, Mexico General Huerta seizes power after a 10-day coup d'etat in Mexico City with the backing of the U.S. military, deposing the elected president, Maduro. Spelled a little bit different, but I believe it's the same pronunciation, Maduro, there. The tragic 10 days, 1913 on this day. This one's always crazy to me, that people would put their babies in the mail. On this day in 1914, no babies, please. 4-year-old little girl, Charlotte Mary Pierce Torm, mailed by train from Grangeville, Idaho, to her grandparents' house 73 miles away, in the most famous Child in the Post instance. The post office put out pronouncements, as this was a trend: do not send your babies in the mail. They literally had to tell people that. What? It's crazy. It's crazy. 1915 on this day. Did I miss 1915? There it is, 1915. 1915 on this day, World War I. Germany sinks American merchant ship Evelyn with mine in the North Sea. In 1933, on this day, Hermann Goering of Nazi fame bans all Catholic newspapers in Cologne, claiming that Catholics illegally engage in politics. In 1942, on this day, FDR, progressive hero, insane tyrant. I know, it can't happen here. It already happened here. They put Americans in internment camps. In 1942, on this day, FDR orders the detention and internment of all Japanese Americans on the West Coast. In 1944, on this day, we saw 823 British bombers bomb the hell out of Berlin, Germany. In 1945, on this day, there's a couple events. This one's crazy. I don't know if I believe it. I believe they died, but in 1945, 980 Japanese soldiers reportedly attacked and killed by crocodiles in 2 days on Rami Island, Burma. Maybe they were. That's crocodiles ate almost 1,000 Japanese soldiers on Burma. That's what the official story says. And also in 1945, the invasion of Iwo Jima, U.S. Fifth Fleet launches invasion of Iwo Jima against the Japanese with 30,000 U.S. Marines. And of course, this famous image, right, raising the flag. I'm sure everybody's familiar with that, raising the flag on Iwo Jima. In 1949, on this day, we saw mass arrests of communists in India, of all places. In 1963, on this day, the Soviet Union informs then President JFK that it's withdrawing several thousand troops from Cuba. They could use those troops now as Cuba is under a siege. And Russia says they're trying to help. I don't know, man. Cuba's in bad shape. They're under U.S. siege right now. In 1986, on this day, the U.S. Senate ratifies the United Nations Anti-Genocide Convention after 37 years, and they still laugh about genocide, obviously. And in 2014, on this day, death toll in Ukraine reaches 26 after government crackdown on protests. And there you go. There's your orange color revolution engineered by Western intelligence in Ukraine. Effing Putin, I tell you. And where are we at our civil liberties history here? Back to the internment, a little more details on the ordered internment of Japanese American citizens. On this date in 1942, President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9066. On this day, authorizing the military to declare military zones on the West Coast and to evacuate people. The order set in motion the evacuation and internment of 120,000 Japanese Americans during World War II. Many Americans regret the treatment of the Japanese Americans as one of the greatest civil liberties tragedies in American history. You don't say. They rounded you up because you had eyes like that, even an American citizen, and put you in a freaking camp. They're building immigrant detention centers right now, FEMA camps for you and I, for any political dissidents. You see? You see? It's already happened, and it's going to happen again here in America, land of the internment camps. Roosevelt's order, however, did not mention Japanese Americans specifically and said nothing about what would become of the people who would be evacuated. The Japanese Americans were evacuated from the entire West Coast and detained in relocation centers that were, for all practical purposes, concentration camps. I know. Holocaust, concentration camps, 6 million. We had our own concentration camps here in America. Very underreported and under-outraged about, wouldn't you say? Where's the Japanese Americans? Where's the Japs crying all day? You know what I mean? 120,000 all day, beating you over the head with it. How dare you say Jap? You're banned, you're censored. You know what I mean? They're not doing it. They're not doing that, are they? They should be. They should be, but they're not. And then just more about this Pike Committee report. So we never got the full report, right? The House, 1975, on this day, the House of Representatives creates the Pike Committee to investigate abuses by the CIA and other agencies. The House of Representatives on this day created the Pike Committee This action followed both the Watergate scandal and the expose on Central Intelligence Agency, CIA spying on Americans by the New York Times on December 22nd, 1974. The Pike Committee in the House paralleled the Church Committee created by the Senate on January 27th, 1975. Both committees uncovered significant abuses of the intelligence agencies, the CIA, the FBI, the NSA, and other federal agencies. After extensive public hearings, however, the House voted not to publish the Pike report, the Pike committee's report. Imagine what was in that. The public mood began to turn against further exposés. Reporter Daniel Schnorr obtained a copy of the report summary, however, and leaked it to the Village Voice, which published it on February 16th, 1976. No full Pike Committee report has ever been found and may not even exist. Material from the planned report, however, was leaked and published in a series of news reports before the House voted not to publish it. So I guess if we go back and piece together the news reports, still not the report from the government, from our Congress that we paid for with our tax money. We deserve to know what the hell is actually in the Pike Committee report. We'll never know, because I'm sure the abuse was so outrageous at the time. If the American people knew, they might have actually done something. You know what I mean? But what the hell? Just trust your government. They'll probably put you in a internment camp here in the coming days, but what the hell? Here's our segue to the news.
So it turns out the world is run by satanic pedophiles after all. The Epstein files have come out and they actually prove what the people you call conspiracy theorists have been saying for years. There are elite people kidnapping, torturing, murdering, raping, and some evidence even showing that they're eating babies afterwards. This is sick. These are the people who are running the world and running the country as well. These are the same people who are telling you what you can and can't do, who are giving you advice and guidance, and you're blindly following them. People who rape babies, you're blindly following these people. There's no one doing anything about it. You have a chance now to take matters into your own hands, to stand up, rise up against these evil people who've been running the world for centuries. There's a march on the 28th of February meeting at 1 p.m. at Parliament Square. It's an anti-government march, so it's completely against the government and everything they're doing, all the control mechanisms they're putting into place. If you actually want to do something about these evil people and you want to stand up against them and show them we're not going to have it, come to that march, anti-government march, Saturday 28th of February, meeting at 1 p.m. at Parliament Square. I'll see you there.
Out of the UK there, doing something, anti-government march here. Oh, you think Trump's compromised? Oh, you think? We need these marches all over the Western world. We need them badly here in America. But of course, the feds will infiltrate it, cause violence. We know the routine about how they do. But hey, the Dow, do you hear about the Dow? It's actually below 50,000 today. But just more lying from the Trump administration about the economy. 130,000 jobs added last month. CPI 2.4% down. It's a golden age in our economy. The majority of these jobs are in healthcare, they told us. And I don't believe they're know how we got off there. Anyhow, they're touting that Trump is touting the economy today at a speech. Here's Trump on if he will get to heaven. He's going to burn in hell along with all the rest of these bastards.
It's not worthy of heaven. I'm not going to make it. And I was having a good time going. I was having fun. I hope to make it. But I doubt I will, to be honest with you. A lot of you will. I'm not saying. But I was having fun. The New York Times has a front page story. Donald Trump is now questioning his mortality. They made it like I was totally. So you can't joke. It's not.
Is it a joke? Glenn Beck says God told him he was born to stand for aardvark people. This guy's such a shill hack that it's really disgusting.
I at times have felt impressions from God, and about 4 or 5 weeks ago, it was overwhelming. I know why I was born. This is why you are here. This is why you were born. And it is to stand at these times and to stand for the truth and to stand, not to sound grandiose, but to stand as other people in history have stood, especially for the Jewish people. And it is humbling, a little bit terrifying, but a relief to finally know.
He said similar things before. Yeah, he's been put on this earth to con right-wingers and to sell you on genocide. So there you go. What a piece of shit. Here's newly released DOJ emails show that Aardvark Land installed and managed a surveillance system in the Manhattan apartment at 301 East 66th Street that was controlled by Epstein and used by former Aardvark Land Prime Minister Barack during 2016. Here's that news report.
Installed, alarm show goes up that shows that the Israeli government installed, alarms and security equipment, surveillance equipment, at Jeffrey Epstein's East 66th Street apartment, stretching for years. According to emails that have been released by the Department of Justice in 2016 and 2017 at least, and it looks like for periods that go beyond that, because Ehud Barak was staying so frequently in the apartment. He's the former prime minister of Israel, and former prime ministers are entitled to certain levels of security throughout the rest of their career. Barak would be especially entitled to it because of his time as Minister of Defense and also as a top intelligence.
Well, there you go. They got to set up their honey trap there. So under the guise of security, I mean, of course, they're going to put us in camps for our own safety. It's always for your safety. It's always for our own good, because they're the good ones, and they have a monopoly on empathy and caring when they're actually demonic entities that are animating these evil people, to say the least. Here's the emails that document that. So yeah, full surveillance there to catch all the wrongdoings. Oh no, it was just for the former prime minister's safety. Oh, okay, that's a reasonable explanation. if you think that, is Trump compromised? You think? Maybe we can find Nancy Guthrie's kidnapper someday. You know what I mean? That's where we're at. Okay. So they essentially have de facto martial law in Washington, D.C., and we're supposed to cheer it on. Of course, if all this is true, what they're telling us, then all the local authorities have completely failed, but yet they're collecting giant paychecks and no one's ever held accountable for for deaths. They have blood on their hands in D.C. According to the federal government, they're paid handsome salaries and laugh in everybody's face as they roll out a police state, martial law. There's a actress woman, Judge Janine, Fox News woman, now the AG of DC. The era of unchecked violence is over. Make DC safe again. 10,000 arrests have been made under the Trump administration. Where was the local police? Huh? It's like a police state going on here. They're bragging about all these arrests. 2025 violent crime in DC, lowest violent crime in more than 10 years. 2,475 violent crimes, down 29% compared to 2024. Again, where are the local cops? 2024, gun involvement in violent crimes in DC. Gun crimes decreased by 43% compared to 2024. Gun involvement in violent crime dropped 11%. It's the greatest year-over-year change in the last 17 years, and that's MPD crime cards. (2025) homicides in DC, 85% uniform crime reporting. Homicides clear rate, highest since 2011. 121 homicides, down 32% compared to 2024. Make DC safe again. Make DC a police state, because that's essentially what they have going on there. U.S. Marshals very proud about making their 10,000th arrest. Removes the beautiful task force makes 10,000th arrest, removes 1,000th illegal firearm from city streets. Don't you guys worry. The CIA will flood in a bunch more weapons there. Don't you guys worry about those illegal firearms. No judge, no warrant. Department of Homeland Security administrative subpoenas are being used to identify ICE critics across Reddit, Meta, Google, and Discord. NDB, just platforms turning dissent into a database entry. First Amendment means nothing when Silicon Valley acts as unpaid intelligence arm of the government, because they are de facto the government. There you go. And that's a post from Jason Bassler. Another post from him. He says, let me get this straight. Trump greenlit a Palantir, quote, master database. 8 new mega detention centers are being built. Customs Border Patrol just bought access to Clearview's 60 billion image facial ID system. Department of Homeland Security is now demanding names of social media users critical of ICE agents on our streets, threatening to put people in domestic terrorist databases. Huh? But they promised there's no database. There's a database. I'm critical of ICE because they're not doing the mass deportations and they're screwing around with these left-wingers. They're screwing around with all this BS. Deport the damn illegals. You know where they work. Go there and deport them. Oh, your president won't. President Trump will look the other way when it benefits him on mass deportations because America first, not Americans. Corporate America first, you see. And everywhere you look, if you put it in those contexts, you'll see a lot more clearly now. When they say America first, they're talking about corporate America, not you and I, the individuals, entities that actually are skin and bone and flesh. They're not talking about us. It went over everybody's head what they're really talking about. Here's something good. So as the FBI says, we're not all black pillars here. Here's something good, I believe, that has come out of public health, and then we'll get to all the bad, don't you worry. But they're shutting down these transgender use surgeries all over the country. Again, no one will get in trouble for this crime against children.
It's not just NYU Langone. We want to show you kind of a wide range of all these other high-profile hospitals. We're going to scroll them there on the screen. You can see Children's Minnesota Hospital, University of Utah, also some ones out there in Chicago as well, like Lurie's Children's Hospital. So they've either paused or canceled gender-affirming care. It's not just NYU Langone.
Yeah, I got news for you. All these butchers calling themselves surgeons, they're still there, you see. At least they're stopping it publicly, acting like, yeah. For minors, you see, you're an adult and you want to do cutoff, add whatever. Hey, more power to you. I'm libertarian about it, but leave the minors out of it. And we should take a hard look at the doctors, the quote surgeons. We should take a hard look at these megalomaniac butchers that carried out all of these surgeries. On to the glyphosate. Now, here's before he became Health and Human Services Secretary, Bobby Kennedy Jr., Mr. Maha, he said, the herbicide glyphosate is one of the likely culprits in America's chronic disease epidemic, much more widely used here than in Europe. Shockingly, much of our exposure comes from its use as a dissectant on wheat, not as a herbicide. From there, it goes straight into our bodies. Now, they soak the GMO wheat in it, and they're leaving the GMO out of this as well. What about the fact that the whole glyphosate goes with the genetically modified crops? Because regular crops, you spray that on it, it kills it. But it's been genetically modified to be able to take the glyphosate. That's a whole scam. That's the whole scam, you see. I don't know. You think Trump's compromised? There's a glyphosate lawsuit, $18 billion settlement with verdicts saying it caused cancer. There's freaking the class action lawsuit commercials on the television. I remember seeing a couple of years ago. So it's now Bayer, formerly known as Monsanto, the big manufacturer here. And yeah, a bunch of different lawsuits totaling up to 18 billion so far in verdicts, in settlements have been handed out. But now linking glyphosate, the main ingredient in Roundup, to non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and other environmental impacts and health hazards have come out in these lawsuits. But the monetary ruling here and saying that, yeah, it causes cancer. Well, they got indemnity through national security yesterday from Trump. Here's the executive order. So people are saying, oh yeah, Congress is going to pass the farm bill, and that's going to give pesticide makers indemnity. Trump's like, hold my glyphosate can, because I'll just write an executive order here. Promoting the national defense by ensuring an adequate supply of elemental phosphorus and glyphosate-based herbicides. And all your shill hack, fake, I don't even know what you call them at this point, government propagandists are defending this on the internet. It's indefensible. They're saying you don't understand glyphosate. Well, I'm sorry, we do understand glyphosate and genetically modified food. We do understand it. And none of your lies are bullshit. It don't play. But they're still trying to defend this, you see. Here it is. They're saying we need glyphosate for national security in here, along with the phosphorus. And so this will block Bayer, essentially. It blocks them from lawsuits under national security. And so that's where we're at. That's where we're at. Let's see. This post from Farm Action, I thought put it pretty well. It's got people riled up. Let's hear now from the liar Trump first. And we'll go through this post from Farm Action.
We're joining forces to defeat government corruption, restore free speech, and make America healthy again. We're going to make America healthy again, you know? We're a nation that is not doing well in a lot of ways, and we're not doing so well with health, but we're going to solve a lot of those problems, I think, over the next short period of time. A lot of it's common. A lot of that's common sense, too. It's all common sense when you get right down to it. But we're going to get toxic chemicals out of our environment, and we're going to get them out of our food supply. We're going to get them out of our bodies. We'll get them out of our body, right?
Straight up lie by Trump. Glyphosate's in everything. It's in the water. It's in the freaking breast milk. It's in everything. Because they've soaked us in glyphosate. It basically liquefies the little bugs' stomachs. What do you think it does to your stomach? And kills them that way. Here's what Farm Action had to say. And people are even saying, well, if we don't use glyphosate, they'll use paraquat and diaquat. That's way worse. We reported on it. So we'll use glyphosate because the other toxic pesticides are way worse. What? What kind of BS argument is that? But that's what the shill hacks are out there defending. Like, well, it's better than diquat. Really? It's all toxic, cancer-causing death. Okay, so Farm Action said a new executive order doubles down on the same system that bankrupted farmers monopolized the food supply under the control of a few multinational corporations and contaminated Americans' food systems. Indeed, we cannot eliminate glyphosate overnight. I agree, because it's freaking in everything now. But we should be taking steps to reform this broken system, not doubling down on it. The fact that U.S. agriculture has become so reliant on glyphosate should scare us into immediate, dramatic reform of our food system. Yeah. Trump's declaration that glyphosate-based herbicides are a cornerstone of this nation's agricultural productivity and rural economy exposes deep structural problems in our food system. Our over-reliance on chemicals and herbicides to produce more and more commodity crops is bankrupting our farmers and rural America. This broken system is the reason we are in a crisis today where over 60 farmers go out of business a day and the rest require constant federal bailouts just to survive. Oh, but they just subsidize the farmers. The economy's great. Trump also claimed in his executive order that glyphosate-based herbicides allow farmers and ranchers to maintain high yields and low production costs. But the opposite is true. Farmers have lower production costs and higher profits when they reduce or eliminate their use of glyphosate and other herbicides. Keeping them reliant on herbicides only benefits the pesticide industry. Finally, Trump's claim that glyphosate enables farmers to produce healthy, affordable food could not be a bigger lie. I added that. They said could not be further from the truth. Could not be a bigger lie. The science that alleged glyphosate is safe was retracted after the paper was exposed for relying on false information that directly came from Monsanto. So there you go. Trump just threw Maha under the bus right there. But hey, here's our corporate government, so I guess don't complain. Here's the whitehouse.gov website. You go to investments, and here you go. You can see all of their nice occultic logos right there. And so these are our corporate overlords. This is America they're talking about. Not you and I, tax-paying citizens, but this is the America they're talking about, who's beholden to the shareholders of these corporations. There you go. That's our government right here. It's just beyond the pale. And the people defending this, man. Last bit of public health news here. The miracle makers are fighting amongst themselves over their ill-gotten gains. BioNTech just sued Moderna over its bat miracle patents. They're fighting over who invented the thing that made them both billions of dollars. BioNTech claims Moderna's new next spike shot infringes their mRNA technology patent, the same tech used in Pfizer BioNTech conformity. This is revenge litigation. Moderna sued BioNTech and Pfizer in 2022 for the exact same thing. So they stole it from each other. They got the formula from the freaking military. Here's the Trump sons. Eric Trump just laid out they're pushing to modernize finance so no one gets debanked again like they did, is what they're claiming. It's all for you and I, you see, not for their greedy motives.
A crypto conference. World Liberty is a crypto company, but you have CEOs from Goldman Sachs and big hedge fund managers. What's the goal?
I think we're trying to modernize finance. We're the most canceled people in the world in 2020, 2021. And it's really great to almost have this retribution where all of a sudden we start pushing an agenda. Our agenda was to modernize finance, to allow that to never, ever, ever happen to anybody again.
I'm curious what you're trying to accomplish here, because it's not.
There you go. We got some optimists for the Black Pillars. This on the Rumble says, we have a lot of problems to solve, but we can do it together. Well, thank you, this. Indeed. Indeed. We can do it together. If we stop fighting each other about Democrat, Republican. Give me a break. This is what time it is right here. This is what we should all be talking about. Why the hell do all these corporations have so much freaking power and are allowed to do whatever they want and run us into the ground and spit on us and give us cancer and every other damn thing as they're running us into this mark of the beast system? Yeah, we better get started. Well, they're starting there in the UK at least, doing an anti-government protest. Well, they finally got somebody there. He's been disowned, kicked out, not a royal anymore, allegedly. Still has a blood, you see. He still has that blue blood in him, but Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was arrested today. Here's that image. I'm in the back of the cop car going around the internet. And so here's a news report out of the UK about it.
Estate, the police have arrested Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. It's an extraordinary revelation and development on this story involving the Epstein files and all the allegations that have been swirling around about Andrew over the many years, from Virginia Giuffre, now sadly deceased, and since then, and certainly what's been contained in the Epstein files as released in the last few weeks. But the police have arrived at Sandringham Estate this morning, where Andrew has made his new home. It's his 66th birthday today. What a birthday present that is. He has been arrested by the police. Of course, the brother of the current king, the second son of our late Queen Elizabeth. This is an extraordinary development. Those of us who've been talking an awful lot about establishment cover-ups and lack of, should we say, interest by the police in what are very, very serious allegations against Andrew. Perhaps they're pleased that that pressure has finally been put on the police, and they have done the job of actually looking into these issues seriously. Must bear in mind, of course, that the prince has not been charged with any crime at this point, and he has always denied any wrongdoing in relation to any of the allegations.
There you go. Denied all wrongdoings. Here in America, we have FBI that go and cover it up, that act like great American patriots. So let's bring back beheadings, right? Because that's this is the first royal to be arrested in 379 years. The last royal that was arrested was King Charles I in 1647. He was executed 2 years later by beheading. Let's bring back beheading. Let's bring back political pistol duels. Bill Gates pulled out of India's AI summit hours before his keynote address. They're having a big AI summit in India. At least Bill Gates is feeling ashamed enough. He needs to be arrested. Needs to be arrested. I mean, how many crimes has Bill Gates committed against humanity? Forget even the Epstein stuff. You know what I'm saying? But throw Epstein stuff on top of it? How's Bill Gates not under arrest? Seriously. That's a report out of Reuters. He pulled out of his keynote speech there. Leslie Wexner testified to the House Oversight Committee. Here's a clip of it released by the House. This is the GOP side of the House Oversight Committee.
Out loud. It's the only paragraph I have a question about. But that article reported that during a conversation, Jeffrey Epstein asked Mr. Meister to introduce Epstein to you, Mr. Wexner, and Epstein told Meister that Epstein had learned that Wexner's current money manager was stealing from him. And the article identifies Harold Levin, I think, as your previous financial advisor. Do you have any recollection of whether Mr. Epstein ever claimed that Mr. Levin was stealing from you?
Objection to the article on hearsay grounds. You can answer.
As I recall, Jeffrey never thought Harold was stealing, and I didn't think Harold was stealing.
Okay. Did anybody ever say that Harold was stealing?
No.
Okay. No recollection of that.
No recollection of that.
That article also describes a story where you sent Mr. Levin to meet with Mr. Epstein and just discuss an investment opportunity, but Mr. Levin came back to you and told you to stay away from Mr. Epstein. Do you have any recollection of that type of a warning from Mr. Levin?
No.
Same objection.
No.
Okay. When you initially hired Mr. Epstein, do you recall, and some of this may be repetitive, so you have my apologies, do you recall what year you initially hired Mr. Epstein?
No.
Would it be right to say that it may have been either 1989 or 1990?
Yeah, about then.
Okay.
We don't get a whole lot out of it. You could see old Leslie Wexner's pretty old, right? I believe he's in his 80s. Bring out the freaking beheading. You know what I mean? Tar and feather, they're saying. Something needs to be done. Here's his attorney telling him, basically, shut up. He says, I'll effing kill you if you answer another question with more than 5 words. His attorney tells him. I guess we should play this short clip.
It was just regularly done.
Answer another question. 5 words, okay. Answer.
I don't know if you could hear it, but he did whisper in his ear, I'll effing kill you if you answer another question with more than 5 words. Well, according to Wexner, Epstein bragged about managing Rothschild cash. Epstein claimed he was also advising Google founders, Jeff Bezos of Amazon, and other big tech executives. Wexner said he sounded so legit. Sure. Here's tone deaf Trump still praising Howard Lutnick, who bragged, I don't know about brag, but openly admitted, halfway bragging about taking his family to Epstein Island. So no shame here in America with these maniacs. This is today.
Great, very proud of you. I also want to thank Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, who's got more good ideas. He's a very, very successful guy. Thank you, Howard. Howard Lutnick.
How the hell how is Howard Lutnick still allowed to walk around unshamed by any of this? Here's an Aaron Day meme post. I thought it was funny yesterday. The government pushing Tether as a backdoor into central bank digital currency. And this is pretty damn accurate, I would say. Right? I would say. Of course, that's Howard Lutnick and his torture mask. Like everywhere they go, they should be shamed. It's more about Wexner here. I don't know. We're not going to get much out of him. Hang him. He says he was manipulated by Epstein. He called Epstein a master manipulator. But somehow Wexner was bankrolling large parts of Epstein's operation. But he was manipulated, you see. He was taken advantage of. We have the full statement. We have video of him testifying. Not really much there. He's claiming I'm just an innocent, naive billionaire who knew nothing of Epstein crimes. So essentially taking the fifth. Should have just took the fifth. You know what I mean? Anyway, Weaponized News Substack will post all these sort of details for you to go through. Okay, we're at the top of the hour. Let's take our live commercial break here. Everybody go to weaponizednews.com. Get yourself a holograph sticker there. Holograph sticker, the white background sticker, and the clear sticker. Go to weaponizednews.com. Get yourself some stickers, put it on your laptop, your bumper, your guitar, your hard hat, your work locker. Spread the word about Weaponized News, independent reporting and analysis brought to you 5 days a week at weaponizednews.com. Get yourself some stickers. We have hats, t-shirts, coffee mugs, all kind of different gear over there at Weaponized News Store. The link is in the description below this video. We also take donations. There's a secure PayPal donation right on the front page of weaponizednews.com. Buy me a coffee, Bitcoin wallet address, and Cash App, all in the description below this video. Give us a like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. Any which way you want to help is much appreciated. Thank you to all these subscribers out there. I'm still John on Odysee. I still have not got around to figuring out what's the best subscription to send people to, so I still don't have it, but people scattered on all the different platforms, thank you very much for your subscriptions. Give us that like, share, subscribe. If you don't have the funds, I understand, in this horrible Trump economy, give us that share. It's free. It may raise your level on the list of where you're going to be on the FEMA camp placement, but just putting that disclosure out there, if you share Weaponized News, but what the hell do we have to lose at this point? Okay, back to the second half of Weaponized News on this February 19, 2026, Thursday edition. Thank you for joining us. The first half, we went over the complete sellout of MAHA by Trump administration, making glyphosate a national security issue, essentially giving de facto indemnity to Bayer and other glyphosate manufacturers, causing cancer and destroying the environment. It's just wow, man. Wow. But Ted Lieu yesterday, but Ted Lieu, see, it's like two dirtbags calling each other dirtbag. Ted Lieu's neck deep with Ed Buck over here, a big donor that has been convicted of murdering black homosexual prostitutes by overdosing them with amphetamines and torturing them and doing all kind of weird sex stuff. You know what I mean? And so old Ted Lieu is famous for hanging out with that dude, along with Pencil Neck Schiff. And so they're just all just disgusting. But Ted Lieu is calling out Trump yesterday. Not because of Trump's crimes, because political reasons. He don't give a damn about Trump's crimes. He's committed the same crimes, you see. He said Donald Trump is in the Epstein files thousands and thousands of times. In those files, there are highly disturbing allegations of Donald Trump raping children and threatening to kill children. It's kind of their thing, Ted Lieu. But of course, all of that, anything we can nail down has been redacted, and all the stuff we can't nail down, they just write it off. It was a crazy call, a crazy report that, of course, the cops never followed, the FBI, cops, whoever. The cops, right? They never followed up on any of this, so they just write it off. Oh, it was crazy. Really? It's looking like maybe it wasn't so crazy, or maybe it was. We just will never know, because none of these reports were ever followed up on purpose by your cover-up artists at the FBI. Democrats put on a little press conference, ranting and raving about it. Okay. This is a good one right here. And I do believe if you're still watching their ruckus, take a look at this clip. And is this not the Masonic hands signal by old Howard Lutnick here? Chime in here if you're still watching their ruckus. Let us know. I believe it is this right here.
Respond to the Epstein situation. Is he hosting some kind of gathering of top advisors this evening to talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation?
I don't know. I could ask you that question. I don't know of it, but
How to respond to the Epstein situation?
I don't know. I could ask you.
He's neck deep. He's neck deep in Epstein. But take a look. I guess Ruckus is not watching right now, but we need his analysis on this. I believe this is I'm in control sign right here. And I do believe that Lutnick is Trump's handler. It's becoming very apparent here now. More details coming out. Epstein ties with top executives. Bill George, former Goldman Sachs board director, warned this is not over. This is just the tip of the iceberg. We're going to see many more prominent people get implicated. Boardrooms don't like bad headlines at all, and they're not as forgiving as the DOJ. The purge has just begun, he said. This is Bill George, former Goldman Sachs board director. We'll see. That's a report out of CNN. The UN, famous for many sex crimes against children, right? Many crimes the UN has committed on their watch. They've come out now. UN experts concerned that flawed Epstein files disclosures undermine accountability for crimes against women and girls. The files have shocked the conscience of humanity and raised terrifying implications of the level of impunity for such crimes. You don't say. You don't say, UN. UN knows all about it. Everybody trying to score political points here now, as if they're not involved in the same type of thing. Democrats, UN, go down the list of the establishment institutions. In a 2013 email, Epstein is writing Barack, the former Prime Minister of Aardvarkland. He says, hopefully someone suggests getting authorization now for Iran. They've been wanting to have a major war with Iran for a very, very long time. And we're getting there. We're getting there. Here's that email. We're getting there. Oh, just casually talking about hunting people here with Rothschild in this email exchange. Thanks, thrilling hunt. The Rothschild there. Got it. Amazing old male and amazing hunt. My bankers should be careful. In exchange with the Rothschild. Talking about hunting people. So the UN goes through it. They put out that little meme. We'll post a link to the details. Aardvarkland government, we covered that, installed security systems at Epstein's Manhattan building. Of course, it was for security reasons for the former prime minister who likes to hang out with Epstein. Perfectly reasonable. Epstein was emailing about Howard Lutnick's nanny in a 2013 email mentioning arranging a meeting with her and was sent by Epstein's accountant. Lutnick says he had only limited ties to Epstein and denies any knowledge of crimes, but introducing his nanny to Epstein might not be very convincing. So he barely knew the guy, took his family to vacation on the island. Here's the introduction of his nanny to him. Yeah, barely knew the guy. In a 2018 iMessage exchange in the email in the Epstein files, they're talking about poisoning. They're saying, why can't we poison people like Putin does? Why not poison him the way Putin does? Followed by, hopefully not one of our own. And here's the exchange, talking about poisoning somebody. Why not poison him the way Putin does? The way they talk. The way they talk is wild, man. What does Karen say? How far back do these emails go? Like, what was the year? I believe it's like 96. Ruckus says, breaking. Trump says U.S. will release files on aliens and UFOs. Stop it, Ruckus. Stop it. Ruckus, did you see this? What is this hand signal by Letnick here? Let me pull it back up. Isn't this the Masonic hand signal for I'm in charge? Take a look, Ruckus, if you're still watching there. Thank you for the breaking news about the aliens and UFOs. But isn't this that symbol? If you know, Ruckus, let us know in the chat, please. Karen, I think they go back to like 1996, I believe is the earliest. I believe that's the earliest Epstein email is like 1996. Not 100%, but that is a good question. What is our timeline? We know there's a gap before and after 9/11. There's a gap there that we're not allowed to see any of those communications about what went on before and after 9/11 in Epstein communications. They've just redact. They don't even put out the documents or just have a black sheet of paper. You know what I mean? Okay. Moving on here too. No on the hands. Damn it. Thought we got them. So what can we do to distract you people from all these crimes against humanity and our open Satanism and eating babies and drinking their blood? Well, start a major regional possible world war with Iran, release the alien information. Like, wow, they're getting desperate here. In more about dozens of private flights tied to UK airports, multiple stops, transfers in Essex, references including logistics for switching planes, transfer of females between Epstein jets, mentions of women from Latvia, Lithuania, Russia, and elsewhere, the travel patterns and victim country origins are highly questionable. The documents practically spell out an explicit trafficking proof at the airport. Here's these documents. And we put it in that context. Yeah, they're trafficking children and women and probably boys and men too out of Eastern Europe, Russia. And they're all going through. There's the child sex tourism travel advisory for Epstein. A lot of professors. Got a lot of professors. UCLA professor Mark Tramo was straight up forwarding student resumes to Epstein. Hey, you want to intern for a cool guy over the summer? Check out Mr. Jeffrey Epstein, the financial wizard, according to Steve Bannon. The man was pitching music neuroscience gigs tied to his institute and Grammy Foundation, while students asked to meet him for research chats. Here's that email. This is an email window into Epstein's well-documented obsession with genetics, fertility, and controlling reproduction. Subject line, eggs. Subject line, eggs. Yes. I need to decide whether to sign a form of consent for them or to use my discarded biological material for research. This includes my cells, blood, and immature eggs that would otherwise be discarded. Yes or no, or doesn't matter. My paranoid little mind is worrying that they will take a mature egg that should be frozen and use it. On the other hand, it could be helpful to them. I understand if you prefer me to decide alone. And that's redacted to Epstein as he was running eugenics transhumanist operations. Waiting for this page to load. Epstein planned to impregnate 20 women at one time at his New Mexico Zorro Ranch when he wasn't busy winning the lottery. I added that part. He shared his scheme with many scientists and elites, but there is no evidence that it ever came to life. The alleged goal to seed the human population with his DNA, and that's a report out of the Indian Express and the New York Times. Here's that email. Critics have likened transhumanism to modern-day version of eugenics, the discredited field of improving the human race through controlled breeding. But they're all still carrying on, the royals and Epstein and the whole Epstein crew. That's what they're all about, is transhumanism here now and breeding. Epstein staff list plus Rothschild link. Well, Wexner just told us he was managing Rothschild money. What do I know? I'm just a billionaire. I'm just a billionaire. Who knew? All right. A housekeeper's grandson claims his grandmother took hidden memory cards from Epstein's Manhattan home containing photos, videos, and audio files. The material included child pornography. ABC reportedly declined to receive the material. Fox verified its authenticity, but allegedly said it would only publish part of it. And the family claims they were pressured by lawyers to turn it over. If this is true, what is still being kept from the public? It's a good question, right? Here's that report. Pictures, videos, audio tapes, Mr. Jeffrey Epstein, i.e. blackmail material. There. 2012 email, Epstein tells the recipient, make sure you take some of the antibiotics for your pee for sexually transmitted diseases. He says you've had many D's in just a few weeks. And you can read between the lines or read this email. See what they're saying right here. So a lot of unprotected sex with God knows who or what implied there. Epstein files show a weird hanging art decoration that resembles a bride going down a rope. This was in I believe this was, I'm not sure if this was in New Mexico or Manhattan. Anyhow, bizarre art installation there. Well, there's too many. Who's baby Jeffrey? Did Epstein have kids? Did he follow through on his plan to seed the world? From Epstein to redacted. That's the closest I get to Karina providing my new P. Did you get one? Oh my. Explaining to our baby Jeffrey how kitties work. And so they're speaking in coded language here. Clearly, who's baby Jeffrey? Epstein was asked about the logistics of transporting a sperm sample. He was asking about it, likely his own, to a lab in New Mexico. Here's that email. Attorneys. Here's an email where attorneys, quote, torturing and abusing victims through settlement manipulation. It also includes a murder allegation and directly accuses Pope Francis of complicity. One person's account. This was part of the files. It's hard to make out here, but again, never followed up on. Is it a clone in a jar? Maybe it was a clone in a jar. His hippocampus. Epstein, an Italian hedge fund partner, casually discuss what to do with a woman like they were planning a dinner reservation. This is a woman who moves in elite financial circles across Europe. Do you want me to try to do her or just torture her? Here's that email exchange with Marcinello, Italian hedge fund dude, also into torture. Redacted, girls are making money. Epstein, bring lots of toys. Redacted, yes, master. So we don't know who he's talking to here, but talking to a slave, apparently, yes, master. This broke yesterday. James Watson, the Nobel Prize winner and co-discoverer of DNA, dined with Epstein and posed for photos alongside young women. Given what we know about Epstein's obsession with genetics, eugenics, and transhumanism, and his reported plans to seed his own DNA across the planet, their relationship and conversations hit a little bit different now, don't they? Here's those emails. And there's the James Watson character. Here's Epstein with a bunch of minors blacked out. Epstein ordered Zorro Ranch staff to just kill the animals. We covered that one with William Ramsey. By the way, side note, I'll be on William Ramsey's show on Monday. We'll take another deep dive into this stuff. I think that show on Tuesday. Was it Tuesday? It was Tuesday, right? I think we covered a lot and went really deep, far down the rabbit hole. Everybody should check out that show on Wednesday or on Tuesday, excuse me. Bizarre letter claims Epstein used cult-style recruiters for VIPs. A letter for someone identifying as Esther Cohen Tyzer Epstein describes being part of a coven of powerful women recruiters for Epstein. She claims she flew young women on jets, introduced them to VIPs, including Alan Dershowitz, blood liable, I tell you, don't, how dare you, Prince Andrew and Bill Clinton, and ran dynamic sexuality and gift sessions. Here's all of that. What's redacted? Oh, that sounds bad enough. Reid Hoffman offered to help manage press on Epstein's sex offenses. Him and Bannon, right? He just couldn't get enough propagandist PR men to remake his image. Reid Hoffman. He told Epstein he'd been thinking about how to help with, quote, recent press and offered assistance on the online front. He also sent a gift, a metal sculpture for the island, saying it might strike Epstein's sense of humor directly conflicts with what Hoffman has said in public. Oh, he knew nothing. I knew of no wrongdoings. Well, privately, in the emails now public, he's talking about remaking Epstein's public image after being a convicted sex offender. There you go. 60 victims. Oh, this story. This is tied to it. 60 victims, Epstein ties, and a judge blocking file releases. The trial no one is covering. 3 brothers, Oren, Olin, and Tal Alexander, are currently on trial in Manhattan Federal Court on sex trafficking charges that carry up to life in prison. Bring back the beheadings. Prosecutors have reportedly spoken to over 60 individuals who allege that they were drugged and raped by at least one of the brothers, the Alexander brothers, described as prominent ultra-luxury real estate figures with aardvark American ties, were indicted by the Southern District of New York in December of 2024. A superseding indictment filed in May of 2025 allegedly added a sex trafficking of a minor involving a victim reportedly as young as 16. Additional state charges were filed separately in Miami-Dade County, Where it gets even more interesting is the Epstein connection. On February 2nd, 2026, the judge in the case issued an order barring the DOJ from releasing any, quote, Epstein file material that references the defendants until after the verdict is reached. Court reporting indicates the brothers' names allegedly appeared in a 6-page spreadsheet of Epstein-related tips, which the government reportedly described as an inadvertent release. They doxed these guys, these damn alleged sex traffickers on trial. They doxed them. This is a federal sex trafficking trial involving allegations from dozens of victims, possible ties to the Epstein network, and a judge actively suppressing related file releases mid-trial. Despite all of that, the coverage has been minimal compared to the scale of what's actually happening in the courtroom. And here are these characters, the Alexander brothers. Does every sex trafficker know Epstein? Looks like it. Come on. There's aliens, didn't you hear? In a 2015 email, Norwegian diplomat Larson forwarding a confidential polio report from Pakistan directly to Epstein with the subject line, urgent confetti, please pass on to Bill Gates. Larson called Epstein his best friend. Epstein's will left $5 million to Rod Larson's children. Rod Larson. He also wrote visa letters for young women in Epstein's orbit, many of whom were allegedly trafficked. Rod Larson and his wife are now under corruption investigation in Norway. There is that email. Epstein discussed short-term memory erasure technology with MIT Media Lab director. In a 2014 email, Johnny Ito, then head of MIT Media Lab, asked Epstein about, quote, the technology that you tried where they erase your short-term memory, wanting to know if it was published and from which lab. Epstein replied, transmagnetic stimulation is the device. Much work done on is using it for trauma, anesthesia, etc. Transcranial magnetic stimulation, TMS, is real tech used in research for disrupting memory, and Epstein was casually chatting about it with this MIT professor. Part of MK Ultra mind control operations. Ian Osborne, the guy behind billionaire tech investments in Uber and Spotify, was tight with Epstein right after his jail time. In a 2013 email, Epstein pushes Osborne to set up a meeting with the Sultan of Bahrain in New York City while Osborne's in town for a Galaxy S4 launch. Osborne says, yes, I'm around. The guy helped scrub Epstein's rep, got funding for his fund, even visited the island. He claims regret now, but the documents show him pulling strings on immigration and CEO lobbying. Here are those emails. and this character, Ian Osborne. A victim told the FBI she was 16 and modeling when Epstein invited her to parties at his New York mansion. At one, he offered her $500 to take off her panties. At another, twin brothers, the two characters we just talked about, Alan and Orrin, the Alexander brothers, lured her and a friend upstairs and locked the door. They escaped, but Orrin allegedly raped her best friend, and a third brother, Tal, raped a 14-year-old girl who tried to slit her wrist afterwards. All three Alexander brothers are on federal trial for sex trafficking, as we covered. Epstein flight logs. Epstein logged 4,292 flights, 10,343 hours in the air, and 3,302 passengers across his private planes. Quite the globe trotter there in an international contraband smuggling ring, amongst other crimes. Now they're looking, was Stansted Airport used as a trafficking hub? Stansted Airport in the UK, was that used as a trafficking hub by Epstein? It looks like it. France has opened 2 criminal probes tied to the Epstein network, one for human trafficking and another for money laundering, corruption, and tax fraud. 5 prosecutors are reviewing U.S. files, flight logs, and emails to see if French nationals were involved. The UN panel has suggested a global criminal enterprise. That's a report out of Reuters. Indeed, it was and it still goes on today with just a different Epstein, maybe even the same Epstein. It's still going on today, you see. Here's Ben Swan. He says it's confirmed Epstein did have connection to Ukrainian biolabs, and America was, in fact, lying about their involvement. Here's a report from Ben Swan.
Almost every so-called conspiracy of the past 10 years seems to be proven true the more we dig into the Epstein files. Tonight, we're taking a look at the issue of Ukrainian biolabs, labs that we were told repeatedly over the past few years did not exist. They were nothing more than a Russia-funded conspiracy theory. For years, anyone who questioned government-connected biological research, biolabs, throughout Ukraine, studying viruses or diseases, or research into underground genetics projects, was brushed off as a crazy person. See, I was one of those people. Here's part of some of those reports from 4 years ago.
New and exclusive information about the Ukraine biolab story that some media and politicians are still pretending don't exist. And now we have brand new information you're not going to see anywhere else because it's being scrubbed from the internet. Not only do we have new insight into what was inside of those labs, but also new information about the people working there, being given diplomatic immunity. And not only that, but that people living around some of those labs over the past decade have become sick with cholera and even swine flu. Plus, do these labs have anything to do with the overthrow of the Ukrainian government in 2014? When he was a Burisma executive and his father was vice president, Hunter Biden's company, Rosemont Seneca, invested $500,000 into a San Francisco-based pathogen research company called Metabiota. I was actually one of the first reporters in the country to tell this story back in 2021. Hunter Biden introduced Metabiota to Burisma officials to negotiate the establishment of biolabs in Ukraine. During this time, Metabiota also received $24 million in funding from the Department of Defense
which included money for Ukrainian research projects. Although the US government and its cheerleaders in the media screamed that the existence of US biolabs in Ukraine were a Russian fabrication and conspiracy theories, the Pentagon and other US government officials later admitted to the fact that 46 peaceful Ukrainian laboratories exist in the country. Tonight, the Epstein emails are once again proving that things that we had previously been told were conspiracies were not. They were happening. And once again, they were worse than we had previously thought. So much worse. Look at this. Emails show Epstein was heavily involved in Ukrainian biolabs, discussing do-it-yourself genetic experiments, including embryo implantation, sperm modification, and so-called biohacking with scientists. Now, consider what we're seeing here. These experiments include sperm modification? Like, modified to do what? We don't know. What was Epstein and his donors trying to create? See, there's another email that gives us maybe some insight into that. These detail plans for a proposed designer baby project, outlining funding needs and development strategies. The goal here, according to the email, to move from small-scale garage biology to the first live birth of a genetically designed human, or even a human clone, within just 5 years. Again, why is this happening? And specifically, why was it happening in Ukraine? Well, actually, that part's easy, because this kind of research is inhumane, it is unethical, and most importantly, it's illegal in the United States and most Western countries, which is why all of this was happening in special places like Ukraine, where this could happen, but it was also happening under a huge cloud of secrecy, which is why another email explains the need for secrecy. Read this one. Emails discuss whether financial backers would only participate if they were guaranteed that they could remain totally anonymous, fearing public exposure and massive reputational damage. So now the question, was Epstein simply running a criminal pedophile network? Clearly not. He was also pursuing radical human genetic experiments with global implications. And if these projects were real, and they certainly were, where would they happen? Remember this statement under oath 4 years ago from then Undersecretary of State Victoria Nuland.
Does Ukraine have chemical or biological weapons?
Ukraine has biological research facilities, which in fact we are now quite concerned Russian troops, Russian forces may be seeking this classic Russian technique to blame on the other guy what they're planning to do themselves.
Again, at that time, questions about secret biolab activity were quickly dismissed as Russian disinformation. But now, in the light of Epstein's documented interest in genetic experimentation and his clear use of biolabs in Ukraine to carry it out, this is not a conspiracy anymore.
Yeah, hey, glad you guys remember Ben Swan. Pretty good, huh? I think Ben Swan's pretty on the money. Pretty on the money. Good reporting there from Ben Swan. What if the aliens they roll out are actually Epstein's kids that they've cooked up in a biolab? What about that? There's just more on his funding. I don't even know if we can talk about this on the YouTubes, on the mainstream big techs. I don't know. But just, yeah, all up with Bill Gates talking about funding everything from Ebola to AIDS to miracles, just sorted details. This guy, Sayer J, he put together a pretty good report. I don't think we have time today because we still have more news to get to. But yeah, all up in all of this biomedical research, eugenics, transhumanism. You better believe it. Files reveal Epstein was offered chance to buy Pentagon-linked building and FBI offices. They're like one and the same, aren't they? Epstein was offered the opportunity in 2016 to invest in a, quote, mission critical 911,818 square foot building located about 1 mile from the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia. The property was described in investor documents as the only site in Arlington besides the Pentagon itself capable of meeting U.S. Department of Defense space and infrastructure needs. The proposed deal, valued at roughly $116 to $120 million, would have made Epstein a co-owner and effectively a landlord to the U.S. government. There's no evidence the transaction was ever completed. Separate documents also show that in 2015, Epstein was sent a proposal to invest $25 million initially, followed by an additional $75 and $80 million to purchase 2 FBI field offices in Richmond and Baltimore. He bought the FBI for way less than that. Now we're talking about the actual physical buildings, right? Along with other federal properties with ownership structured through a Cayman Islands offshore entity. Both proposals were forwarded to Epstein by businessman David Stern, who referred to himself as Epstein's, quote, soldier, and was also close aide to the arrested Royal Andrew. The real estate opportunities originated with investor Jonathan D. Fastelli, and there is no indication he knew they would be passed on to Epstein. An FBI informant memo has described Epstein as a, quote, Mossad agent, noting his close relationship with the former prime minister over there, who visited Epstein's. We covered that. We had to put in surveillance for the prime minister's security, you see. Perfectly reasonable. Daily Beast founder, billionaire Barry Diller frequented Epstein Island and was discussing appearing on Bannon's film to help whitewash Epstein's public image and rehab the convicted sex offender. It appears to be no coincidence that he came out of the closet as being gay last year at the age of 83 after the first Epstein files were released. Diller may have been trying to get out in front of the Epstein story, as told by Bannon in 2019, text messages that he was gay and his 24-year marriage to wife and fashion designer Diana von Furstenberg was a facade. Oh, you don't say. Old Barry Diller wearing the beard here. There it is. Turns out he came out of the closet as being a homosexual at 83 years old. I'm sure he loved his wife. Do we got much more? How much more can we take here? Here's another. Well, they're looking. This one's kind of interesting. 2015 email exchange between the Rothschild and Epstein discussing closing business deals, referencing a 45.5 penalty, legal cost, and totals, all less than 80. The thread also mentioning reviewing Rockefeller hiring an asset woman, beginning a family plan, and looking at partners. And so, oh yeah, wasn't he also on, I believe he told Bannon he was on Rockefeller University board. I want to say, if I can remember off the top of my head, in the Bannon interview. So here's that. Old the Rothschild. Norway. Meme from Norway here. Spotted at a Norway bookstore. Epstein Island guest list. Chomsky, Thor, Bjorn, this woman, right? Trump, Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, Musk, Deepak Chakur. Can't even see who that is, but anyhow, you can see that's quite a selection of authors there. Epstein Island guest list. Wow. Wow. Epstein wanted to hang a giant painting of the massacre of innocents, depicting infants being slaughtered at a Zorro Ranch. Here's an image of that painting and the email. So this is very disturbing, to say the least. Hi, Rich. Jeffrey is asking if you can FedEx the painting he had made. Massacre of the Innocents to the ranch. It's the large 9x9 canvas. He had rolled out for him to see in the entryway where they are killing babies. He wants to use it on the ranch and is hoping you could FedEx it. Yeah, because they are killing babies in real life. Massacre of the Innocents. Okay, where are we at here? That's all Epstein. It's all Epstein for today. Thank God. But more just keeps coming, doesn't it? As we prepare for war, we're told now by Ruckus that they're rolling out the aliens. We're preparing for war on Iran. Here's some propaganda from the Department of War. This was yesterday. They're hitting us. They're putting military grade propaganda on the internet through their social media accounts. Remember who we are, rebuilding the Arsenal of Freedom. And again, the Arsenal of Freedom is a tour being put on right now, selling the military industrial complex with frontman Pete Hegseth. It's just beyond the pale of disgusting, but they're doing it. We do have boots on the ground in Nigeria, 100 U.S. troops plus equipment are on the ground in Nigeria, of course, to save the Christians. Bullshit. They don't give a damn about Christians. But that's Trump's excuse. And isn't this how it starts? Well, we're just military advisors, mission creep, and now there's 100 U.S. troops on the ground in Nigeria. And I think I saw Karen talking about this one earlier. Yeah, Eric Trump invests in low-cost per-kill drone company. The president's son has joined a deal to make Aardvark Land Company X10 public. And so you can sell your stock for a company that produces low-cost per-kill drones. That is straight-up gangster capitalism at its finest, I would say. Right there. Don't miss your chance to invest. And what was this now? 2 days ago, we misreported it yesterday. But, oh yeah, they're still whacking the fishing boats, alleged narco-trafficking vessels. U.S. Southcom, late February 16th. So what was that, 3 days ago here now? That would have been Monday night, late Monday night. The Operation Southern Sphere is ongoing. Conducted a lethal strike on 3 vessels operated by designated terrorist organizations Intelligence confirmed the vessels were transiting along known narco trafficking routes and were engaged in narco trafficking operations. It'd be nice if you arrested them and took them to court and proved all of your allegations there, U.S. Southcom. But no, they took it upon themselves to just extrajudicially assassinate these alleged narco drug traffickers. Here's the video. One, that was the first boat. Here's the next one. So that's where we're at. The Army, U.S. Southcom just says you're a bad guy and kills you. That's where we're at. They can say you, I, my cat, my dog, anybody, everybody. You're the bad ones. Boom, you're dead. No trial, no evidence, no nothing. Just claims by U.S. Southcom and intelligence. So yesterday, they're holding joint naval drills. You had China, Russia, Iran, all there in the Strait of Hormuz. Looks like, I guess, nothing happened. I forget who denied this, but the report came out yesterday that Russia was saying they'll invest $12 trillion if Trump eases sanctions. And I forget even one of the sides, and that was out of The Economist reporting it. But one of the sides, I think it was Russia, maybe America, I forget even who. One of them said, no, that's fake news. So who knows? But hey, 12 trillion in Trump-led investments from Russia. Here's an illustration of the military buildup. And so war with Iran, question mark. Here's an illustration. And see, if Iran didn't have their country here around all of our military, we wouldn't be having a problem. You see, that's the real problem, is they put their country right here around all of our military assets. And so quite a buildup, as you can see. Aircraft carriers, strike groups, all these different aircrafts, all these different naval assets. So we have a lot of military all right up in here. All right up in here, as you can see. So, yeah. Just waiting. Maybe illegal aliens saved Iran? I don't know. Report from yesterday, Ynet. We have more recent current news today, but they said Aardvark Land thinks a massive strike by America could happen any day now. Iran is claiming at least 10 intelligence services directly involved in the attempted overthrow regime change of their government last month. They specifically mentioned Aardvark Unit 8200. We had Pompeo saying that Mossad's on the ground in Iran, helping the protesters. They're helping. So yeah, Western intelligence all over that civil unrest backed up by U.S. sanctions, causing legitimate organic unrest in Iran because they're crashing their economy right now, and then nudged along by our helpers in the intelligence agencies. More than 15,000 individuals linked to anti-security networks and 46 foreign agents were identified, Iran is claiming. It was just a peaceful protest, you see. Old Massey and Ro Khanna at it again over there in the Congress. I get acting like we have a Congress. I don't know. They're saying we need to vote on a war powers resolution. So Trump's just not acting like dictator and bombing whoever he wants without Congress. The measure aims to block Trump from launching military action against Iran without approval from Congress. There's a Congress? Who knew? Who knew? Massey says there's no imminent threat from Iran to invoke the 1973 War Powers Act. Who knew we even had a Congress? There they are again, though. There they are. We have like one guy acting like he's doing his job in this Masonic theater. It's just, come on, man. They're trying to rile up and provoke the Muslims at the Al-Aqsa Mosque as per usual as Ramadan approaches. And so you got Ben Gvir over there. You got them saying they're going to annex the West Bank, old Smotrich. You got them abusing the prisoners. I think we got a report at the end, systemic Palestinian prisoner abuse. And so they're trying everything they can to justify even more genocide, essentially here now, desecrating the Muslims' holy site at the Al-Aqsa Mosque and continually trying to provoke a reaction out of them. Where are we at here? This report's from today. National security officials tell Trump U.S. military forces prepared to attack Iran as soon as Saturday. So it may be, as Ruckus says, for the markets, and as Pam Bondi says, but the Dow's under 50,000 today, so I don't know. The attack will happen when the markets are closed, and that may very well be Trump's strategy, it appears here now. Top U.S. national security officials have told Trump that military forces are ready for potentially striking Iran as soon as Saturday. That's according to ZBS News. In preparation, the Pentagon is temporarily moving some personnel out of West Asia to Europe or back to America, according to multiple officials cited in the ZBS News report. One source stressed that such movements are standard before potential operations and do not necessarily indicate an attack is imminent. Meanwhile, Iran is drafting a framework for future talks with Washington. Let's see. We do have, where's Iran on all this? Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov said that he warns that new U.S. strikes on Iran would be playing with fire. What does he say here? Says they're trying to work with the International Atomic Energy Agency. Trump is considering, this is out of the Wall Street Journal earlier today, Trump is considering a limited military strike on Iran to pressure Tehran into accepting a nuclear deal. The initial plan would target a small number of military or government sites, with broader attacks possible if Iran refuses to curb its nuclear program. Not about the nuclear program. They want to overthrow their government. They want regime change, using their nuclear program as a phony excuse that Trump told us in June we destroyed their nuclear program. Operation Midnight Hammer, America. They rebuilt it in freaking, 8-9 months? Damn. Iran's all in their nuclear program. Iran rejected the U.S. proposal for zero enrichment and strict limits on their ballistic missiles. And they haven't even, this report doesn't even talk about their proxy armies, which is also one of the 3 demands laid down by Bibi, right? Khomeini called it excessive and outrageous. And both sides said some progress was made. This is in negotiations ongoing here now. Surprised the Aardvark Land didn't just whack them and say, well, see, they didn't negotiate. Well, why? Because you whacked the negotiators. On to this ridiculousness. Did we have, let's see, I guess that was Iran's response. I thought I had another Iran response, the most up-to-date that I'd seen. I guess that was it. That, They're like, So, yeah. Trump saying 10 days. What does Trump say? Trump said, when asked today at the Board of Peace inaugural scam meeting, he said, when asked, are you going to attack Iran? He said, well, you're going to find out over the next probably 10 days. So we're waiting. Board of Peace, but hey, Trump's the president of peace, you see. Here's this sham of an Orwellian board called the Board of Peace. All war criminals here. Bring back beheadings? Maybe start here. And there's the man everybody voted for, Jared Kushner. We have more from Kushner. Let's see here. Trump, what we're doing is very simple. Peace. This meeting today is proof with determined leadership, nothing is impossible. When I took office, the war in Gaza was raging. The war in Gaza is over. They're still killing people, bud. Is Trump this naive, or he's getting bad intelligence? If I can get it from mainstream reports off the internet, why doesn't Trump know they're still killing people? They're still stacking Palestinian bodies every freaking day. The war is not over, and there never even was a war. It's been a genocide the entire time. Here's some of the slideshows from presented at this sham meeting. Here's the slideshow from the White House. Historic coordination and delivery. Oh yeah, come up here, kid, and they shoot you when you're trying to get a cup of clean water. We know how all that already worked out, don't we? Strategic partnerships driving success. All bastards right here. All bastards. And Trump's trying to say, oh yeah, we're going to partner up with the UN. But I thought he's Mr. Anti-globalization. He's Mr. America First, Mr. American national sovereignty, all of that rhetoric. Oh yeah, it turns out his sham Board of Peace wants to meet with the sham UN and link up with them some kind of way. They probably will. They probably will. And they're like, hey, stop shooting those people. US, you're on the UN Security Council. And they're like, nah, we're going to go ahead and veto it. Talk to the Board of Peace. That's where we're at in our 2026 Orwellian nightmare. Chronic governance failure, you don't say. Extremism. Aardvark Land, the West put Hamas in. We've documented that. Corruption. Yeah. Weak institutions. They don't even have any institutions. They blew them all up. No economic vision. They're blind because the pagers blew up in their face. Dude. Institutions for prosperity. So it's sounding better. Oh, wait, let's go. What do we have here? 25 miles of Mediterranean coastline. That's what they're after. Proximity to regional markets. That's what they're after. That's what CENTCOM's logo is, right? Is them sitting on top of these tradeways. Right there. Right there. Young, dynamic population. This is Gaza's potential. Yeah, the ones that you haven't crippled and made into, amputees, and the ones you haven't killed. Damn, man. Lays out the foundation for prosperity. Governance that is led by Gazans for Gazans. I think they're called Palestinians, actually, but okay. Free from fictional politics and extremism. Yeah, I just am not believing this pitch. Sorry. Transforming recovery funding into sustainable development. That's straight up Agenda 2030. So tell me more about how Trump's a great American nationalist. Bullshit. He's playing his part to build the American technate as a region of one world government. Gaza's strategic asset pillars. Looks nice. Looks nice. Transforming recovery funding into sustainable development. Peace board. Remember, you got to pay $1 billion up front to join the peace board. So these countries are paying. Stabilize and secure future for 2 million Gazans. I think they're called Palestinians. Again, that's what they're selling. That's what old Jared Kushner is selling, and the White House is selling. Actually, oh, ciao, kitty! My kitty made an appearance here and got right in front. Okay. Continuing here. We have a little bit more. Trump is talking about it. I wanted to play this one of Kushner, though. Here's Kushner. Just a dude. No, he doesn't even work for the government. Like, he has no official capacity whatsoever. He's the president's son-in-law. And he's just a dude that we all voted for. You know what I mean? Here's Kushner.
Thank you, Caroline, and thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, Secretary Rubio. We cannot change the past, but I think that what you're seeing today is that we can potentially change the future if we focus and do this in the right way. We tried to structure this meeting like a proper board meeting, like we do in the private sector, where we have all the preparation, we get the right people together, and we really report on what our challenges are, what the opportunities are, and what are the approaches. What you've seen today is just a small sample of the work that's been done, and I really want to thank the entire team that's worked so hard at this. A lot of these people are volunteers. They're doing this not for any personal gain. People are not personally profiting from this. They are really doing this for their children.
You guys catch that? People are not personally profiting off this, he says. Sure. They're just good-hearted humanitarians, philanthropists.
For their grandchildren and because they want to see peace. One small anecdote is Liran said to me, "Are you sure I should be presenting? I'm a Jewish Israeli and I'm working on Gaza and all these things." And I said, "That's exactly why you should be presenting today." If Jews and Muslims work together, Israelis and Palestinians with Americans and English and Bulgarian and people from all around the world, then we can kind of join on a common goal, which is peace and togetherness, and that's really what we've done. I want to thank President Trump. I remember working with you on your first foreign policy speech in 2016 that you gave at the Mayflower Hotel, and at the time, those ideas were considered to be very, very radical. What I saw as somebody who didn't have any foreign policy experience were just common sense ideas. Why can't the world be better? Why can't there be peace? Why can't there be more prosperity for all people in all ways? And I think over the last decade, you really have changed the way that the world thinks about a lot of these things. And I think that this organization is bringing a new approach and new ideas and new people together in order to effectuate it. I'd really like to thank all the countries that joined on very early. I see this as a very self-selecting group of countries that really believed that the future can be different and wanted to join in partnership and put their reputations and their resources and their time and their ideas on the way to say, these are the challenges we're putting into that we're solving in our own countries. We want to come with new ideas because we've achieved success and we believe that the world can be better in that regard. So I don't have to go through these slides in great detail, but we've secured today, even without the president's amazing commitment, over $7 billion. As Mark said, we don't really have a resource issue here, although we are going to need everyone's support. We just need to be executing and doing this in a good way. We've dealt with the humanitarian issue. We've returned the hostages. But the one final thing I just want to talk about as well from our perspective is that the President Trump in his heart wanted to get the hostages home, but he also really wanted to help the people of Gaza. He saw the suffering that they were enduring, not through fault of their own, because of the bad leadership that they had, the situation they were born into. The war was a horrific, horrific situation. And I think through this process, thanks to Ali and the committee, we are now here to fully support the committee. We are here to help the people of Gaza, to lift them up and give them every opportunity to succeed. And we really see this as a partnership with them and with the Israelis to see if we can create an environment that can be peaceful, that can be functional, that can offer people the opportunity to really live a better life. And I think you've seen some of the work today, and hopefully we'll be successful. Like I said, the last one, failure is not an option, and we have to really push forward and keep finding ways to succeed with this. So really thank you, President Trump, Vice President Vance, and Secretary Rubio, and obviously Steve, who's been, like he said about me, I feel just about him. Working through all these challenges has been an absolute honor and a pleasure with you, and I've really been very lucky to have your partnership. So really thank you all.
Not big Kushner fans out there? I mean, we voted for him, right? Trump thanked them for doing a wonderful job. Let's see. Again, Trump's claiming there's peace there. We got the reports. They're bombing the hell out of southern Lebanon as per usual. And in the last 24 hours, according to Gaza Ministry of Health, 2 dead Palestinians and 4 more injured in the last 24 hours there. And we don't even know about Lebanon. But they're bombing the hell out of it. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Here's a good one. Guess who's on there? Guess who's on there? Old Tony Blair right here. It's pretty hard. It's hard to believe, but there he is on the board of peace. So we're definitely in that Orwellian nightmare here. This guy, this clip, this guy, billionaire, nobody's in it for their own personal gain. We just want peace. We care about the children. You heard it from Kushner there. Billionaire Mark Rowan says that Gaza's coastline alone is $50 billion of value, and that's a very conservative estimate. It just needs to be unlocked and financed. Remember all the oil, natural gas, discovered right off the coastline there as well. Yeah. This guy. They just care about the children, I tell you.
Gathering Gaza's productive assets in one unified structure. This will allow independent, professional, conflict-free management of the resources to benefit the Gazans. This will also enable expeditious planning and zoning and not fragmented projects that do not contribute to an economic whole. The potential here is tremendous, but it has to start somewhere. The start is in Rafah, where, as you heard, that will be the first place security is deployed. The plan is 100,000 homes for 500,000 residents plus $5 billion of infrastructure. Over time, 400,000 homes for the entirety of the population with more than $30 billion of infrastructure. Let me put it in financial terms. This is not a problem of money or collateral. This is a problem of peace. The coastline alone, $50 billion of value on a conservative basis. The housing stock, more than $30 billion as rebuilt. The infrastructure, more than $30 billion. $115 billion of value. It just needs to be unlocked and financed.
There you go. They're doing it out of the goodness of their heart, you see. Yeah, Tony Blair there. That's hard to believe, but I guess it's really not that hard to believe, is it? U.S. military is going to build a giant base right there. U.S. plans massive military base for 5,000 international troops in southern Gaza. 350 acres, 26 armored watchtowers, barbed wire, bunkers, small arms range, the whole fortress. It's run by Trump and Kushner. Plans include human remains protocol because 10,000 bodies are buried under the rubble where they're building. Indonesia's sending 8,000 troops. Major European allies said no thanks. Trump has permanent control, and conversations are likely happening on Signal instead of official government channels. Expert quote, "The board of peace is a legal fiction, an empty shell for the U.S. to use as it sees fit." That's a report out of The Guardian about this new U.S. military base right there on over, what, 300, what did they report? 350 acres. Giant compound for their own good, of course, and safety. Palestinian final report of the day. Palestinian journalists subjected to systemic torture in aardvark land prisons. Committee to Protect Journalism reports Palestinian journalists describing being systemically abused, beaten, starved in aardvark land prisons, according to a new report. When dozens of journalists independently describe physical and psychological abuse, the international community must take action. Well, they are. You got a board of peace and a giant military base. Lagging here, I was going to show you that. So there's the report. No doubt, I have no doubt it's true. Committee to Protect Journalists. And that's all I got. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Let's go to Odysee quickly. We have a few on Odysee. John, Deep. Yeah, John knew the timeline better than me. He said, why are Epstein files missing from 1999 to 2001? that 9/11 gap, right? He said aardvark land involvement in 9/11, perhaps, maybe, we don't know. And other involvement too, probably. I'm old-fashioned, so I would prefer to see Epstein's circle of clients and his friends at the stake. Pick your method of execution. It's just, I don't even want to think like that, but they all need to due process, right? They need due process, but they all need to be looked at. Like, because this stuff is like too sordid and just write it off. Oh, I didn't know any better. No freaking way, man. No way. Anyway, let's see. Deep said, oh yeah, they're getting into their different preferred methods of justice there. Yeah, well, the investigation needs to continue, and the people there that are clearly doing wrongdoings need more straight up investigations, right? It goes on. It goes on. Trump says he's been exonerated. I don't know how. Not by the public, that's for sure. Not in any court of law. In his own mind, I guess. Or he's been exonerated according to DOJ redactions. But it's just going to keep getting worse here now with the first royal arrested, right? And how many? A long friggin' time. And the last one, King Charles I beheaded. Thank you guys for tuning in on Odysee. X, the live stream's broke over there. You got to do some adjustment when you're live or something. Anyway, maybe I'll try to figure it out. If you guys are on X listening, thank you. It's all messed up on the live stream. On my end, shout out to Bitchute. Thank you guys for tuning in on Bitchute, Facebook, Kick, Twitch, YouTube, and Rumble. Thank you guys. Denver, Chloe, Fat Bob, everybody else, anybody I missed, sorry. Golden there. And then Mac on the YouTube. Thank you for tuning in there, Mac. Did we have anybody else? Ruckus on the YouTube. All right. That's all I got for tonight. As always, everybody do your own research. Peace, love, and freedom. Speak out and take action. Have a great rest of your Thursday evening, and we'll